Muhammad Umar Farooq Biological Video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. You can also answer question to each other for solving the problem in comment below. So today here we will discuss about the energy as well as enzyme and their lives deriving and controlling forces. So the energy is important as well as the enzyme are most important in our body. Without enzyme is life impossible. So what is energy? First of all, we will discuss about the energy and their importance in our body with the energy are living organism. So what is energy? The capacity, first of all, we will discuss about the energy definition. So that is the capacity to do work. So that is known as the energy. So work is the transfer of energy. So the energy is neither created nor destroyed, but change in the one form to another. For example, potential to kinetic energy. So this we will all things is discuss about the what is energy and how it's possible to conversion from one mechanical and chemical energy. So here first of all here is the light energy which that is absorbed by the plant is known as the autotrophs. So the autotrophs consume light energy to produce the chemical molecules. So this is the chlorophyll containing pigment is absorb the light energy to convert the glucose, amino acid, fats, etc. So here is the cell which that contains cell wall and that is the plant cell and contain nucleus and cell wall. So this is the chloroplast. So the chloroplast is the important organelle which contain a double membrane organelle which that is used for the light harvesting system. So the light dependent and light independent reaction will create the sugar, amino acids and fats during the Calvin cycle. So that means energy of light will convert into the chemical energy. So that's chemical energy is known as the potential energy, which that is potential to do work. For example, when conversion in the mitochondria. So that when these glucose molecule will convert go into the glycolysis to produce pyruvate. In the case of pyruvate production, the ATP is also produced as well as NADH. So these NADH and ATP. So NADH is also produced while pyruvate go into the mitochondria to produce more ATP by Krebs cycle as well as electron transport chain. So these mean so the mitochondria is so this mitochondria which that is produce ATP. So there's a conversion of energy from one form to another is the important and that is the survivorship for human being as well as animal. That energy is stored in the form of phosphate group which that are present in the ATP and this ATP contain sugar, adenine is the nitrogenous base as well as phosphate group. So three phosphate group is contain a high level of energy in the molecule. So the ATP is contained here is the phosphate group. Each phosphate group contain a different level of energy. So the third phosphate group attachment is the most important and that contain a higher amount of energy. So here ATP is the basic structural and functional unit for the consumption for the production of energy in the form of heat, work energy, mechanical work, while the reproduction is also used for the sperm and egg production to fertilization and the development case. So on the other hand, movement and transport, for example the transport of the cell, export and import, endocytosis, exocytosis, etc. So that's respiration is also predation in the case of animal, while the chemical work, for example inside of the human body used as the biochemistry is that is all thing is used for the energy. So here is the precursor of kinetic energy. So that means the precursor of kinetic energy mean the state of energy is the different type. For example, that the kinetic energy is due to motion, while the potential energy stored in the form of ATP and normal energy consumption is in our body is in the daily basis is 2000 to 2500 calories, so that in the form of calorie. So that is come from the diet or during the fasting state our body is consumed this energy from itself. So we will also discuss about the energy production as well as the enzymatically activity which that is lower the activation energy, and we will also discuss about the just concept about that. So first of all we will discuss here is the basically measurement of energy on the basis of heat production. So that is the kilocalories. We can imagine that is the kilocalorie. Kilocalorie is mean the 1000 calorie contain a kilocalorie. So that is the study of the measurement of a study of the energy relationship is known as the thermodynamics. So that's we are studying about the thermodynamics. Thermodynamics, the conversion of energy from one form to another. That is the thermodynamics law we will also discuss. So first of all we should understand about the calorie. So what is calorie and how it's produced? So first of all here I am drawing the experiment to understand as well. So here is the water which contain 1 kilogram water which remain the 60 degree Celsius temperature, while here is the heat production when is the part of A first initial phase. When heat produced the water will be changed the temperature by the heat absorption. So that is mean is the basically 1 gram 1 kg of water we convert into the 7 degree Celsius temperature. So 1 degree will be increased, so it means the 1 kilocalorie. So it is means the energy in the form of change using that's heat in the 1 kilocalorie which absorb. So that means here is the 1 calorie is equal to 7 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius changes of temperature by 1 gram of water, while on the other hand the 1 kilocalorie concept is in the case of 1 kg of water. So the law of energy transformation here we will discuss. So that is mean two law are under the vision of this mechanism. So first law of thermodynamics. So the first law of thermodynamics means the energy conservation. So that's energy will conserve. It means it remain constant. For example, but it change the shape. For example, energy neither created nor destroyed. It means that it's never we can never produce energy, while we can never create we can never destroy it. So it can only be transformed from one form to another. For example, here we will discuss about that. For example, that's ball are present in the rest stage in the ground. So when ball will be picked and throw upward, that means the kinetic energy. That is kinetic energy, and it means kinetic energy. And the extreme point is known as the ball contain a potential energy. So the potential energy means the ball will move back into the ground, that will remain rest again. So that is the kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy convert into the potential energy, and potential energy convert into the kinetic energy again for the rest. So that means the energy will be convert. So that's the potential energy also spring compress to relax again by itself is the also example of the first law of thermodynamics. It means the change of energy. For example, here is the light which produce the sugar by the chlorophyll, and this potential energy is due to the photosynthesis to, and that's converted into work is known as the kinetic energy or mechanical energy. For example, we will eat the heterotroph. Autotroph produce energy and heterotrophs use it. So the second law of thermodynamics is the basic and amazing concept. All objects in the universe tend to become more disordered, and that the total amount of disorder in the universe is continuously increasing. So that means the entropy. What is the meaning of this? We will discuss here. For example, light is produced from the sun, and that's continuously producing the light is decreasing the energy of the sun, while that is transport into the universe, into the space. So that means some energy is go into the earth and plant will be consumed, while the 1% of light is consumed by the plant, and that plant is the some evaporation, is a loss of heat, as well as the sweating radiation that is used for heterotrophs. So that's used for heterotrophs also, and sweating and radiation is also produced from the heterotrophs, while the radiation are produced from the earth when earth will be heated, and that means the energy absorption from the sun during night time, the release in the form of radiation, that was the electron is absorbed and released in this mechanism. So that means the earth is made up of electron is made up of, basically atom is made up of electron. So the electron absorb energy and release energy, that's mechanism. And while this radiating energy and evaporative energy will be moved into the universe. So that means our earth is becoming the loss of energy continuously, and while on the other hand the sun is losing continuously the energy, while that energy remain in the universe but not destroyed. So the activation of energy here we will discuss. So the activation of energy means the slightly amount of energy which trigger the acceleration of the chemical processes. So the minimum energy required to start a chemical reaction is called activation of energy. The stimulus energy requirement, for example, here is the matchstick, which that is burn the wood. So that's wood is the basically that it means the stick of the fire is the chemical bond breaking down by the stimulus first, and that's endergonic reaction. It means the absorb the heat, absorb the energy by a wood, and that means wood will be fired. After this stimulation, the exergonic reaction will be occur, and that's loss of heat due to the wood burning. So this wood burning is effect due to the chemical changes, as well as the breaking down of the bond are present. That is in the form of cellulose, that is a polysaccharide. While here the form of energy is heat, sound, electricity, for example current, and pull of magnet. So that means the magnet will be pull or push. That means the energy are present in the magnetic field during the magnetic field. So here is the activation of energy we will discuss and understand by the drawing of the graph. So here is the heat, high and low heat. So that is the exergonic as well as endergonic reaction. So here is the reactant made up of A and B. That means reactant is the exergonic reaction, for example, release the energy for the breaking down of larger molecule into the smaller molecule. So the A molecule and B molecule combine together, and that's exergonic, mean the exit of heat. So that's energy output, and here's the less energy in the form of product. So that's the free energy released in the form of this, while that means the high to low, basically here's the endergonic, mean the absorption of energy. So the reactant mean here is the reactant. So the reactant is basically two molecules will combine together in the presence of enzyme or not, we will discuss later. But here is the energy input. Energy is used for it to make a molecule. So this energy absorption in the form of combined molecule. So that's energy supplied. So this energy supplied is in the form of this. So that is the basically endergonic. It means the absorption of heat. So absorption of energy, for example. So that's absorption of energy stored in the form of bond. So this bond A and B reactant, which they react to each other to absorb energy and combine it, while the less energy production exergonic means release of heat, and so the free energy released in this case of line, red color line shows that the vertical, which that is heat. So what is the meaning of this exergonic reaction? Release the heat, while endergonic reaction will absorb the heat. So that means the maximum energy are present in the undergoing during the formation of bond. I hope you make sense about this concept. Next, here we will discuss about the reaction rate and catalysis. So the reaction rate. So reaction rate and catalysis. So meaning of this reaction rate. Reaction rate means the two substances will react to each other. That is the reactant. Is the initial state, and that means the catalysis is in the presence of enzyme or heat. We can understand as well. So the amount of reactant substance converted to product, so that reactant will convert it into the product and substance in a given period of time is called reaction rate. So the time is required for the breaking down or making the molecule is known as the reaction rate. So what is this? Catalysis means the lowering of the activation of energy. A reaction is called catalysis. It means the lowering of the energy by catalysis using process. So here we will discuss by the graph in the presence of enzyme or without of the enzyme the activation of energy. So this activation of energy in the presence of enzyme is less as compared to the without using of the enzyme. So it's important thing in our body. Without enzyme it's never possible to survive. So here is the reactant initial state. It means the two molecules are separated. So that means the enzyme used. So enzyme used to produce a molecule, for example. So the catalysis, and here is I am drawing the graph which that is known as the activation energy without catalyst. So the catalyst is used as an enzyme. So the enzyme is known as a catalyst. Without catalyst the reaction rate is higher. So that means the energy absorption is higher and high energy requirement for the breaking down of the molecule or making up the molecule. So here is the catalyst enzyme is showing in the red color. So that means the with the enzyme catalyst or enzyme with the reaction with the enzyme is use low energy. It means the reaction the activation of energy is less as compared to the without using of the catalyst. So the blue color shows that without the catalyst is use the more energy. So the product will be produced. So the basically product will be produced, for example the breakdown or making. So the A and B reactant will react to each other to produce a product, and that is the end time start, and that amount of energy is used in the form of low to higher is showing in the side diagram. So here is the enzyme biological catalyst. So the enzyme is you know about that biological catalyst, the protein part used for accelerate the chemical reaction by lowering the activation energy but remain unchanged. So their shapes enzyme substrate reaction. So the enzyme is the globular protein which that is a part and contain a coenzyme, cofactor, etc. We will discuss here, but which you should understand that enzyme is end product of enzyme is impossible. So the enzyme will not break down, but it's help to break down of the substrate. For example, substrate amylose, which that's convert into the simple sugar by the amylase enzyme. So that means that is the example. For example, cellulose, which convert by the cellulase enzyme to simple sugar. So here is the active site are present. That is the globular protein is the enzyme, while the substrate is showing in the purple color. So the lock and key model, induced fit model, is also used for it. So that is the enzyme. Enzyme are three-dimensional globular protein molecules or nucleic acid. They speed up the chemical reaction in the living organism. So the living organism use. So the enzyme basically without enzyme is our body is unable to manage, and their speed of life or the breakdown anabolism and catabolism is very slow and life is impossible. So that means it's very important to crucial to success the life and their purpose of life and the physiologically aspects is possible. So the here enzyme and substrate complex will be formed and that's convert into the enzyme plus product. So the lower the activation energy for breaking down, breaking bond. So you can see that here is the basically catalyst, which that is enzyme use. So the enzyme when used, it means the lower the activation of energy. It means the requirement of energy is lower when enzyme will be used. If without enzyme, that using without enzyme, there will be high amount requirement. So here just we will understand about the enzyme when attached with the substrate with the active site. So here is the active site and there are two substrate. So these two substrate will bind with the enzyme A, B, and so the C is the enzyme. When we'll bind the substrate and also coenzyme is also bound. So the bind. So the coenzymes contain a non-protein part is the organic molecule. So is the basically cofactor is also attached. So the cofactor is basically metal ion, which that is can be zinc or something. So that loose attachment with the enzyme are called cofactor, while the tightly bind the instead of cofactor is known as the prosthetic group, which can be bind, and that prosthetic group is also used. While here is the basically coenzyme is attached, and for example the coenzyme is used for the accepting or releasing of a proton. So that's donate the proton. Coenzyme used as a donation of proton. So that means here is the coenzyme attached as well as cofactor is attached, and enzyme substrate complex will be formed. See, this enzyme substrate complex is will lead to product. That product can be anabolically combined two molecules. So this is the anabolism if we will talk about. So the A and B substrate will combine together to form a new molecule. So that means the not breaking down but the composition is known as the anabolism, while the catabolism is the breaking down of the larger molecule into the smaller. For example, the cellulose will convert into the sugar. So the coenzyme are non-protein organic molecules that participate in the enzyme catalyzed reaction. Example, NADH. So here is the NADH which that is used, which that is NAD plus convert by the exception of proton and electron to convert NADH, and this NADH is used and that's accept that proton and electron. So that means convert into the high energy amount are present in the form of proton and electron. So enzyme substrate complex is here. I hope you make sense about that, and we will discuss about the product will lead to. Here is the product A and B, which that is the product, and that means that here is the A and B, and that is the enzyme C. And basically here is the vitamin B is required to produce the NAD plus, and the vitamin B is the helper enzyme, which that is vitamin B is helping enzyme or coenzyme, which that used to produce NADH from the NAD plus. So important that is the NADH is the nicotinamide adenosine diphosphate is the basically coenzyme which that accept the proton, and that means the combination of new compound will be formed. And one more thing is important factor affecting enzyme activity. So that's all thing is come from the energy. So the lower of the activation energy in our body is the important and crucial mechanism to adopt our life. So that means the lower energy level to give the metabolism. So here the temperature, for example, optimum temperature 37 degrees Celsius in human is the favorable for the normal function of the normal function of the enzyme, while the pH value is the optimum. For example, pH 2 is pepsin used for it, while the abnormal optimization lead to denaturation of the globular protein shape. For example, the high heat of the albumin convert into the white in the egg. So, how cell can how cell convert energy? So that means the conversion of energy from the macromolecule into the smaller molecule, or the larger molecule into the smaller molecule in the form of ATP, is due to the substrate level phosphorylation. So the substrate phosphorylation made up of glycolysis and Krebs cycle. Glycolysis is used without oxygen, while the Krebs cycle required oxygen. So the anaerobic and aerobic respiration. While the chemiosmosis is the electron transport chain, which that is the second part, and proton pump and ATP synthetase, which that is used to it and produce energy. So that's all energy is the energy enzyme life pro, driving and controlling forces is here is done. So I hope you make sense about this lecture. So thanks for watching.